Hi everyone, this is Chris Lim with Theotech, and Zoom has been in the news a lot lately. They reported that their daily active users skyrocketed from 10 million to 200 million daily active users recently. And that came with a lot of scrutiny, a lot of people saying that their privacy and security practices were not up to par. And I've been getting some emails from people as well in the church, whether they're pastors or members, who are just concerned with all the news that they're reading about Zoom bombing and the other kinds of vulnerabilities that there are with using this platform. So I wanted to talk about some things that you can do really briefly and give some context so you understand what's safe and what's not safe with confidence. So the first thing is this is actually why we recommended churches use Zoom and live stream to Facebook or YouTube, is because Facebook and YouTube don't allow anybody just to share their screen, and so you have more control over what content is being streamed. And in a Zoom call, if all you use is Zoom, a malicious person could join your public call, and there's this thing called Zoombombing where people are posting inappropriate pictures and doing other kinds of things to really ruin the experience for everybody who's on the call. And this is happening not only for churches, but it can happen for classrooms, for business meetings, for other things like that. So the first mitigation that you can do is just never post your Zoom meeting links publicly. Don't put it on your website. Don't put it in places where people who you don't trust and you don't want to get access to your room will get it. The second thing is basically to add a password to every single Zoom meeting. Now, in computer security, there's this ancient trade-off, quote unquote ancient, between security and convenience. When you want to make things more secure, you unfortunately can make them less convenient. And that's the case here, where if you actually don't put the links in a public place, then when people actually want to join your worship service event or whatever your event is, how are they going to get that information to be able to join your call, the people you want to join? And if you had a password, how will they know the password? Well, a couple things. With Zoom, when you get the URL to your meeting room, yes, you can have it include the password within it. And so then people can still join without having to type in a password. Secondly, if you create the Zoom room and share the link through your secure channels or more secure channels like your email lists, group texts, and other things like that, then you're less concerned about malicious people getting access to that link. The reason why using a password is still valuable in this case is because there are these things called they're just programs that try to automatically generate a bunch of Zoom meeting room numbers and try to hit them all up. And so when you add a password to that, it protects you against that kind of an attack. So those are two simple tips. And then the third thing that I think is a nice middle ground between convenience for the public. Let's say that your church worship services, you don't want to limit them to only the people who are on your mailing list. So what you could do is add a registration form of some kind, either through your website or through meetups or a Facebook event or something like that, where you don't give the Zoom link directly on the event, but everybody who registers can get the Zoom link automatically. Or if they sign up for your mailing list, maybe they get the Zoom link. And this is just, again, it's not perfect, but it makes it slightly more convenient and slightly enables you to continue to have more of an open atmosphere with your Zoom calls without having to risk as much people Zoom bombing you. The other thing that you can do is to make sure that when you create your Zoom meeting, you actually disable screen sharing for everybody else except for the host. That can help protect you a little bit. You can automatically begin with videos hidden, audio muted. Those are some other simple settings that give you more control. But really, at the end of the day, anytime you want to have a public meeting on Zoom, you still have to master some of that moderation skill or have someone on your team who can just watch what's going on in chat, who can make sure the spotlight's on the right person, and just to keep things under control when you have just a lot of people. It's really hard to manage without being able to focus on the content that you want to deliver. So I'll just summarize that one more time because this is getting kind of long. First, never share your Zoom meeting links on public places like websites. Share them through secure channels like group texts, emails, other ways that you have to access your audience. The second thing is if you do want to include people more openly who you may not already have in some contact list form, you can create a registration for your events and only share with people who register. That additional barrier to entry will help to thwart people who are just kind of looking to mess around and troll you. And the third thing is make sure that your Zoom rooms all have a password so that the automatic bots that are going to try to access your room won't be able to do so. And you can make sure that the link that you do share already has the password in it, and that way people don't have to actually learn what the password is to type it in to join the room. So those are some 3 tips to help you to secure your Zoom rooms. All the other concerns that are coming up in the news about end-to-end encryption and other things like that are less of a concern for the church use case, at least, because these are mostly meant to be semi-public events anyway. But for businesses and other use cases, it makes sense to kind of focus on those other issues and think about what it means for your company. The only thing that I would add is that the reason why Zoom is really attractive is because it has a pretty generous free tier with a lot of features. And one of the useful features for churches is the breakout rooms. And those breakout rooms let you have kind of small group discussions and a big plenary together, and then break down to small groups as well. If you don't need that kind of feature for the event that you're doing, you can always try out other video conferencing platforms that are free. And I think that if all you're trying to do is just have a bunch of people on a call together, any of those will work equally well. And so that's another possibility that you can pursue. And with that, until next time, see ya.